What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new edition of Touchdown Texas. I'm your host, Shiva Patel, and my co-host here, Nick Rodriguez. 11 days till the season. We're getting closer and closer.
Woo!
Next week is game week. Nick, how you feeling? Has the football fever hit you yet?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, we got week 0, in a couple of days. We're filming on a Wednesday night. So week 0 is coming up. Then we got week 1, just 11 days away. So yes, it's coming after me, and I'm super excited. Can't wait.
Definitely. And Longhorns fans, be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be doing an offensive preview, going position by position, telling you the players that you need to know, expectations for the offense. This is something that we've been waiting for all season. Our schedule predictions. What is the
Woo!
final prediction that me and Nick are going to have for the 2025 Texas Longhorns? And be sure to subscribe to our channel. Like I said, and if you want to see a preview of the defense, be sure to go back to our previous episodes. We break down the defense. But now it's time for the fireworks, the offense. And what way to start is the face of our program, Arch Manning. He's coming back, his third season on campus. So let's talk with him about him first. What are your expectations for Arch this year?
Well, this is interesting, right? Because there's so much talk about him over the last 3 years, 5 years, with recruiting everything. The Quinn Ewers stuff is put to bed. Quinn's in the NFL. So this is officially Arch's team. How are we going to see him? I think the guy that we see week 1, like you said, in 11 days, is not going to be the same guy that we see in December, that we see in November, and in January. So he's going to get better as the season goes. We know the talent that he has. We know that he can run. We know that he can throw. He has a big arm. It's just going to be about consistency. How much can he handle it? We're lucky that he played at some games last year that kind of worked in our favor. For this year, he's dynamic. He's a freak. He's smart. He's got all the tools. We know that. I got some light issues that I'm going to fix in just a second here when Shiva's talking. But, yeah, I think the guy that we get right now is not going to be the same guy at the end of the year, but it's still going to be an awesome dude.
Oh, I cannot wait for the Arch Manning to finally debut as a Texas Longhorn. This is something that we've been waiting for since he stepped on campus in 2023. He's going to add a different dynamic to the Texas offense. There's still going to be the same base offense, a lot of RPOs, but this time we actually have a threat to actually use his legs that the defense has to account for. They have to put an extra guy in the box to account for him. So that leaves one-on-one coverage outside for the wide receivers. And definitely Arch Manning's strength compared to Quinn is the deep ball. So look for the offense to open the ball, open the field up a lot more, the playbook, and throw the ball downfield because Arch Manning has the arm strength. He has the accuracy. And he said it in his interview when he met with the media that the beginning of camp for him, he was a little rocky, but this is the best defense in the country that he's against every single day. He said that some days he has good days on them, the other days they have good days on him. This is going to get him ready for sure. The mental preparedness that he's going to have to face Ohio State talented defense like he is.
Yeah.
He is going to be such a dynamic player. And like Nick said, it may start a little bit, up and down for him a little bit as he's getting used to college football and getting used to being the guy. But once he's established and through the season, he is going to be a monster. And I'm very excited for the kind of season that he's going to have. And also, before we move on, just want to talk about the other quarterbacks in the quarterback room. So Matthew Caldwell, who we got from Troy, and he's a very experienced quarterback. And one of the more underrated battles so far this offseason actually has been the QB2 battle. Sark hasn't declared a winner yet, but we think that if Arch, God forbid, has to go down or has to miss a play, Matthew Caldwell will come in instead of Trey Owens. Matthew Caldwell has been around college football. He's had good stats last year for a Troy team. He's accurate. He's a veteran player. But Trey Owens has the upside, but he's only in a second gear with the program, and he's been having some inconsistent games. Like he'll have some spectacular days sometimes, but then sometimes he'll show the inconsistency. But so that's definitely want to give a shout out to those other quarterbacks, and I think Arch Manning has a chance to really have an outstanding season and put himself up on the upper echelon quarterbacks in the SEC. So Nick, also compare Arch Manning to like the other SEC quarterbacks. What are your thoughts? How does this game compare?
I mean, he is right up there with the best of them, you know. Because you talk about Arch, there's Norris Sellers out of Carolina, there's Nussmeier out of LSU, there's DJ Lagway out of Florida. You know, outside of Nussmeier, who has some legs, he's got really good pocket presence. Those guys can move. Now, I don't know if he's a jet like Lagway and Sellers, but this kid can fly. We saw this last year, I think, against Colorado State or UTSA, one of those games early on in the year. This kid's got wheels. We saw it against A&M. He had wheels. He broke it on the outside, and he scored. So he is so dynamic that way. But the thing with him, where it's a combination, where I kind of like him towards Sellers, where, yeah, they can run. They're freakish with their legs, but they could throw the ball too. Sellers got a great deep ball as well. So they're kind of similar to me in that way. Lagway is great. He's phenomenal, but man, he's always hurt. And that's going to kind of go into my prediction, at least when we play Florida. And then Nussmeier, again, he doesn't have the legs that Arch and the other guys do, but does he have an arm? Yeah, he's got an arm. So Arch has just the arm as everybody else, and he has just as much the legs as anybody else in the SEC. So that's going to be interesting. Really, the weapons are going to be an X factor for Texas or for Arch versus all those other quarterbacks. Who's going to step up? Because, you know, Arch and those other quarterbacks will. So it's going to be a fun year in the SEC, even when Texas is not.
Definitely. It's a very crowded room of quarterbacks this year in the SEC. You know, Alabama, see how Ty Simpson, he's very talented. Let's see how he does, you know. So LSU, we know Nussmeier. We know Lagway. Marcel Reed from A&M. Let's see if he could take that next step. He's a very intriguing player. Like, he had some monster games last year against Florida and, you know, some other teams against LSU. So this is going to be a very interesting crop of quarterbacks, but it's headlined by Arch Manning. Now let's move on to the running backs. So last year, Nick, the running back position going into the season was a little bit of a concern because of the injuries to Cedric Baxter and Christian Clark. But what do you think about Wisner coming back this year for his third year in the program?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome, especially because, and we'll get to this in a second, about how young the offensive line is. This is Arch's first year fully starting. Yes, he started some games, but you need as many guys that have played college football as possible. And the more guys that have played under Sark, the better. Obviously, Wisner has. He was the only running back in the SEC with that had over 1,000 rushing yards. Like you say, Sark's record of having a 1,000-yard back continues. He's great. He got better with catching the ball out of the backfield as well. We know that was more of a strength for Jaden Blue. But yeah, this guy's gonna be able to tote the rock until Baxter gets back. All accounts, according to reporting, is that Baxter's been killing it in practice. Sark is very happy with it. If we have two guys, that's better than one. They can share the load. That way they don't get as banged up going deep into the season. Hopefully the playoffs and deep into the playoffs and a championship run, hopefully. But you need multiple guys. And Wisner is a great running back. We didn't know that he would start. Like you said, guys kind of fell down, got hurt, got injured. Jaden Blue wasn't playing well at some points in the season, and Wisner stepped up. So now that he is the guy, until Baxter can kind of come in and they can share that role, it's phenomenal that we have more stability than we did at this point last year, because there were so many injuries and we didn't really know who guys were at that point.
Definitely. And Trey Wisner was an unheralded recruit from DeSoto, which is in Dallas, 3-star recruit. He just came in, put his head down and worked. He had his biggest games against the biggest competition, 118 yards against Oklahoma, 158 yards against Kentucky, 186 yards against Texas A&M, and 110 yards against the Clemson Tigers. Whenever we needed Trey Weisner,
Yep.
he stepped up, and he had some high carries, like in the high 20s in those games, because Jaden Blue had a lot of fumble issues. So we're like, okay, we kind of had to ride
Yeah.
Weisner, and you could tell though he
Yeah.
has the work ethic, he has the team first mindset, and he is really getting better at becoming a more complete back, catching the ball out of the backfield, breaking tackles, getting his speed increasing, which is he's been working on that, and he's going to be even a better player than he was last year. And I said on previous episodes that Trey Weisner is the best returning running back in the SEC. Got a lot of flack from some LSU and A&M fans who think Caden Durham and Le'Veon Moss is, but I'm going to stick by that fact. Trey Weisner was a reason that we won a lot of games, especially in the fourth quarter, salting the game away with the running game. We could lean on a guy like Trey Weisner. And CJ Baxter. So first Sark was saying that we're gonna treat him very conservatively because he's coming back from a major knee injury. But now Sark said the training wheels are off of Cedric Baxter. He's full go 100%. Weisner and Baxter are 1A, 1B, and now we expect him, Nick, to have a more impact against Ohio State because he's going to have more carries and more opportunities. And where Cedric Baxter is going to come back to be really helpful is in two areas, in my opinion. In the red zone, which we really struggled with last year. We didn't have Weisner's a good back, but he's not as big as Trey Weisner. As
No.
Cedric Baxter. So Cedric Baxter is going to be able to break tackles and allow for more touchdowns in the red zone than Trey Weisner did last year, and have a back that we can lean on for that. And in the fourth quarter, where we don't have to wear Weisner out, we can wear the defense out with our 1-2 punch in the running game. And Baxter's also much better at pass protection, even last year, than Trey Weisner was. And he has smooth hands. He's a very eloquent runner. So I'm very excited for this running back room. I think they're going to be a very much of an asset for the Texas Longhorns this year. Before we move on, I wanted to name another running back, Christian Clark, who also last year as a true freshman had a major injury like Trey Weisner did. They said in practice he has looked really good. I'm not saying he is Bijan Robinson, but he said he has similar traits to Bijan Robinson. So he's going to be a scary guy. That's going to be our third running back. It looks like Jared Gibson is kind of falling behind. He's going to be the fourth running back this year, but we're going to need him, especially in short yardage situations. So running back should be able to help Arch Manning out as a first-year starting quarterback. Let's talk about the wide receivers now. A very deep room. We have some returning guys coming back. DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo. We got a transfer in Emmett Mosley. What do you think about the wide receiver rooms for this year?
There's a lot of talent there. A lot of talent. And probably some talent, some guys that really aren't going to play much this year. And it's going to be a big year for them in year 2 for them as sophomores. But first, you got to start with Ryan Wingo. Again, we've talked about how talented he is, but didn't get the touches last year due to some guys that got drafted like Matthew Golden and others. Gunnar Helm even as a tight end, but Ryan Wingo is extremely talented. We know what he can do on the football field. He's a freak. He is going to be able to expand the offense, right? You talk about the guys running. This guy can run. Then you get into like DeAndre Moore. And I think this will be really Arch's favorite guy is DeAndre Moore, Arch's favorite guy. I think he is such a dynamic receiver. He's been there in the program. He's very reliable. He played a lot of big games for us last year and had some big catches as well. So a lot of the attention is going to go to Ryan Wingo. But DeAndre Moore is going to eat as well. So those are the easy 1-2 guys. Then it becomes the conversation, who's going to be the third guy, right? Parker Livingstone, I think, will be the third guy that's going to emerge here. There's reports out there that he's roommates with Arch Manning. That only helps everything. They had some incredible, I know you saw it, deep balls in practice where this kid can run. Is it the new Colton Jordan Shipley? People are already throwing that on there. White boys playing quarterback and receiver. So this kid's going to be awesome. Is he going to be the guy that fills in that number 3 spot? Is there going to be a bunch of guys? Probably. Evan Mosley from Cal is also going to be there as well. So there's a lot of guys. here. We know our 1-2. We probably know our 3 with Livingstone. We'll just see where everyone fits in. But, man, is it a dynamic group? And just like I said with Arch, this group is going to be really good week 1. There's a lot of freaks. There's a lot of athletes. But this is not going to be the same group that we see in December, and that's a good thing. They're just going to get better and better as the year
We
goes
are
on.
young coming in at wide receiver. DeAndre Moore's only a true junior.
Yeah.
Ryan Wingo is only a true sophomore.
Right.
There was a competition who's going to be the third wide receiver in that group when we go to the more third wide receiver sets. At the beginning of fall camp, it was looking like it was going to be Emmett Mosley, but Parker Livingstone has teared it up so far, and he's performed really well. And unfortunately, Emmett Mosley is questionable for the Ohio State game because he had a lingering leg injury last year at Stanford, and it's kind of come back. They said it's kind of flared up a little bit in the summer, and it's flared up a little bit now in fall camp. So it looks like Parker Livingstone is going to be that third wide receiver, like Nick said. But if Emmett Mosley is healthy, him and Livingstone will definitely be switching off and playing a lot. And then if we do go to a fifth guy, true freshman Dalen McCutcheon, and he was the most ready player coming into college, and they said he's really impressed and he's really looked good. So if the circle of trust expands to 5, he is going to play for sure. But just talking about some of the guys, we know Ryan Wingo is a big body wide receiver, 6'2", that can run, has a great catch radius. He has really strong hands. He knows how to use his size really well. He is going to have a lot more opportunities this year. He is going to have a good year. He might be Arch Manning's number 1 guy as the season goes on. But DeAndre Moore, a guy that Texas fans sometimes take for granted because he's just that steady guy that's always reliable, makes the huge third down catch, gets the necessary yards after catch. He came up huge for us in a lot of games last year, Vanderbilt game, an A&M game. So I'm really excited. He's going to be draftable after this year, so he's kind of playing as a contract, and he has a big high expectations for himself. He said he wants to break Texas's single season touchdown record and receiving record. So let's see if he can be able to reach those goals. Really pumped about him. Then, like I said, Parker Livingstone, redshirted last year as a freshman, but he's like a 6'4", 6'5". He can also run.
Yeah, he's huge.
He has good hands. He can make people miss. He's more elusive than you think, and he's really good at getting off press coverage. People try to press him because they think he's a skinny guy that cannot get off press coverage, but he's really good at using his hands, running good routes like DeAndre Moore does, and getting open. That is the strength of both DeAndre Moore and Parker Livingstone. And Ryan Wingo, they said, is getting better at that. And just imagine how good he is now. And if Ryan Wingo gets better at that, and he even got LASIK surgery this offseason. He said at times he couldn't even see the ball. Well, imagine a Ryan Wingo that actually can see where the ball is coming. He is going to be scary. So this wide receiver core is going to continue to grow as the season goes on. Let's talk about the offensive line. So far, our only returning starter from the offensive line is the guy that we're showing on our screen, senior DJ Campbell. He came from the same class as Kelvin Banks, and believe it or not, Nick, he was actually rated higher than Kelvin Banks in that class, but he has a good NFL future ahead of him. What are your thoughts about this O-line group?
It's a bit young, kind of like a wide receiving core, but it's filled with a lot of talent. And we're based here with DJ, right? He's going to have to be the anchor for the first couple of weeks of the season, especially when we play a ferocious Ohio State team on the road who's got a scary team. So they are extremely talented, though. We talked about that with some aspects of the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line specifically. Like, there's some freaks there. This is a big guy. This is going to be a guy that is going to help us a lot. This is where Sark comes into play, though. You got to help your quarterback. You got to help your offensive line. You got to be shifty, right? RPOs. You mentioned this before with Arch and the RPOs versus Quinn with the RPOs. Arch can run, right? So you can have multiple people involved here. You can do a little jet sweep, right? This helps with blocking, right? If our blocking is getting manhandled, there's things that we can do so we don't get pushed around so much. There's screens. We can have Arch run. We can dump it off to Wingo. We can go with the different running backs, Wisner, or we can go with Baxter. So there's a little back and forth that we can do if we are getting pushed around or we need to help them out a little bit more than normal. But these guys are talented. And again, I'll keep saying it because we're young in so many crucial positions, but we're going to get better and better as the season goes on. It's a young team. There's some vet guys that are starting. There's some guys that are behind them. You cannot have too many offensive linemen on a team or defensive line on a team. They're just so big and they're so important that you need a lot of them, and they take a lot of reps. So the running game is going to be crucial, especially in that first game against Ohio State, to get leverage, to get Arch on the outside and running, to get Wingo outside with the deep balls. And Sark is going to be very creative. I know he's been angry all year or off season. We lost to the Buckeyes. This is the way we start off the season. They even talked about recruiting Julian Sayin, who they announced as the Buckeyes starting quarterback. Texas recruited him, right? He went to Alabama. Then he, went to Ohio State after Saban retired. So there's a lot of history. This is going to be a big game. The offensive line is huge. The offensive line will get better, like all of our other skill positions, but Sark is going to have to get creative, especially in week 1, to make sure we're not on our back feet and we're on the attack.
Definitely. So this offensive line is young but super talented. One thing I really want to watch this year for the offensive line is last year they were really good in pass protection, like not including the Georgia game. Like that was an anomaly. Like they were really good. They gave Quinn time. He was able to make his reads and everything. What they struggled with, in my opinion, was creating rushing lanes. A lot of the time, Weiser just had to make people miss in the backfield, and that's how he was able to get the yards. It wasn't really the offensive line mauling people and making lanes.
Right.
That's just my opinion, right, from
That's
watching the
A&M
games last year. Can they be better at run blocking? Well, speaking of DJ Campbell, his strength is run blocking. He's like 6'5", 330, as you can see from that picture. He's a big boy, but he's getting better with his technique. He's being coached by the best offensive line coach in the country, in Coach Flood, and he's becoming more of a technician in pass protection, how to use his hands effectively. And then in this picture, Trevor Gooseby, who played last year because Kelvin Banks unfortunately had to miss a couple games due to injury, he stepped up in the A&M game. You did not hear his name. He was awesome at left tackle. And in Georgia in the SEC championship game, he was amazing. And we know how ferocious that Georgia pass rush was, and he held them at bay.
Yep.
So this year, let me give you from left to right the starters that are that are going to be playing. So left tackle is going to be Trevor Gooseby. Left guard, Neto Umalizelus. Excuse me if I mispronounced that, but he's in his 4th year in the program. Center is going to be Cole Hudson, who actually played guard as a freshman in college in 2022, but he's been kind of behind the depth chart a little bit, so he's going to be at center. Right guard is going to be DJ Campbell, and then right tackle is going to be a new right tackle in Brandon Baker, 5-star tackle from Modern Day. He's going to be a sophomore this year. The right tackle was going to be a competition between Brandon Baker and Andre Kojo, but unfortunately last week Kojo had a season-ending injury, so he was out for the season. So now that job is Brandon Baker's to lose. But we have a true freshman coming in from the state of Georgia that has been on campus since January. His name is Nick Brooks. He's a mountain of a man. He's from Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia, a guy that we stole from Georgia because Georgia really wanted this guy. They said he has a potential to be a swing guy. He's like the 6th guy, in case anybody gets injured. He can play guard or tack on either the left side or the right side. Exactly.
And you're going to need that.
Especially
that's going to happen.
Right. And then Jaden Chapman is another guy who's been in the program for 3 years. He's also the opportunity to be a swing guy. So those are kind of our 2 backups. Yeah, let's see if any more tackles emerge, but we really need to stay healthy in the offensive line because Gooseby has been out the last couple practices because of a finger injury, but hopefully the staff is just keeping him out due to precaution. But this offensive line needs to be healthy. They were getting beat up a little bit early in fall camp because of this ferocious defensive line that we had. But they said in the second scrimmage that they've looked a lot better and they've been giving Arch Manning more time and opening up lanes in the
Yeah.
running game. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this offensive line. Full disclosure, this is the biggest position group that I have a concern about coming into this season, but they can turn that concern into a strength. And I'm going to be watching the offensive line a lot more closely than I have been in the past week 1 against Ohio State. So now let's move on to what everybody has been waiting for, schedule predictions. So me and Nick are going to go line by line every game of the season, predicting win or loss, and then we're going to give you the total record after 12 games for the 2025 Texas Longhorns. I'll let Nick kick this off. This is something that me and him didn't get to do last year, but we're excited to bring it out this year. So Nick, take it away, man.
Do you want me to run through every game or just go one
So
game
go.
at a time?
You can go one game at a time. If you have some quick thoughts about that game, give them, and then just tell me win or loss, and
All right.
let the people know after 12 games what will be the Longhorns' record.
So I'm going each. All right. So game one. I mean, we're playing Ohio State, right? That's a big game. We're going to Ohio State. This is the biggest game of the weekend. It's number 1 versus number 3. Thank you. I was looking for mine. Thank you. This is huge, and I've gone back and forth with this about who's going to win. Julian saying, I made this comment before. This is his first career start. He gets to play the number 1 defense in the country. He is at home. This is the biggest start of Arch's career so far, right? He only played a couple teams last year. I think we win this one. I'm going 1-0. I think we beat the Buckeyes. It's a tight, competitive game. I saw someone talk about how it's a really ugly, mucky, gross game for the first 3 quarters, and then teams start scoring a little bit. It's kind of a defensive battle. I kind of see it going that way. Our special teams has gotten a lot better. Our experience is a little bit in question, but we're really, really talented. They've lost a lot. It's pretty even, but I think we win by 6 points. So I think we win, and we go in to the season 1-0. Going into the next 3 weekends, okay? San Jose State, we got UTEP, we got Sam Houston. Win, 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 okay? We're starting off the year 4-0. There's nothing against these programs. These are good opportunities for us to tighten things up if someone gets injured in week 1 or week 2. None of these games are going to show our full schedule or our full playbook or anything like that. So I expect us to dominate, and we really should in these games. There was a time in Texas history recently where these games would be dicey. They'd be interesting. I know we played UTSA a couple of years ago, and we ended up blowing them out. But that first half was really, really close when it never should be. Those games should always be blowouts. But I have us winning that one as well, so we're 4-0. Then it gets interesting, okay? We play at Florida. Last year, we played in Austin. Shiva and I went to that game. We blew them out. We killed them. We didn't play DJ Lagway. I have us winning this one as well. The biggest reason why I have us winning this one, and we're starting off 5-0, DJ Lagway's injury, right? He's always hurt. He's banged up right now. I don't know how healthy he's going to be for our game. And even if he is, he might be coming off something, right? How often is he going to be playing before that? Let's just call it like it is. He's completely healthy. We're completely healthy. We're better. It's a tight game. If he's healthy, we win by a touchdown. I still think we beat the Gators. I just have so many questions about Billy Napier. Do they like him there? Do they not? They did really well with Lagway. They were 6-1 with Lagway. Without, they were, not the same team. And I don't know if we'll get to play Lagway. And I say get to because I think that would be amazing to have Lagway versus Arch in the swamp, probably at night, right before OU. But either way, because of injury concerns, I have them beating the Gators, and we start 5-0. We go to Oklahoma, or we don't go to Oklahoma, but we have a neutral site game at Oklahoma, 3:30 kickoff, 2:30 Central. I love that time. Should not be a night game. Noon was cool, but this is perfect. This will be an interesting game. right? Because we know that Oklahoma does not play really anybody up until they play us, other than Michigan. But Michigan is like week 2. So they'll have a bit of an easier slate the week before, like unlike how we play Florida. This is another one where what is their quarterback situation going to be like? They got John Mateer. How is John Mateer going to be in that offense? He will definitely be better than Jackson Arnold, who's now at Auburn, right? But what are we really going to be getting from John Mateer? This is another one. It could be tight, but we're the better program. We're the better team. I'm never going to pick us to lose against Oklahoma. We beat Oklahoma. Okay. So we are now, what are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6-0. 6-0. Probably still the number 1 team in the country. Okay. Next 3 games: Kentucky at night, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. Win, win, win. So we are going to be 9-0 at this point. Kentucky, I think, is going to be a really, really hard one, especially because it's on the road. It's at night. Georgia had a really tough time with them last year. Mississippi State is no team to, ignore. They're going to be talented. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia. This will be in Austin. Is it a revenge game? I don't think so. I think we mop Vanderbilt, and I think Kentucky is more of the difficult one in that stretch, coming off the heels of OU. But I have us at 9-0, regardless. Then it gets interesting here, right? So then we're playing Georgia. Hold on 1 second. This is so annoying.
No worries. So as we're just going through the schedule, as Nick correctly predicted so far, just no spoiler for me, but I was winning all the games so far, and the only really tough games is going to be, I had Ohio State, obviously the first game of the season. That's going to be obvious. But Oklahoma is going to be a lot better, but it's still a game that we should be able to take care of. So yep, I agree with Nick so far, having us going undefeated. But I'll let Nick take it away again. Go ahead, man.
Sorry about that. The cat was hungry and getting into things. So, okay. So at this point, we're 9-0. Obviously, your tough games are going to be Ohio State, Florida, OU at this point. And I do think we get the best of them just because I think we're better than those teams at that moment. Now we have to go to Georgia on the road late in the season. Unfortunately, the losing streak continues for me against Georgia, and we drop one against the Dogs. This is on the road. They don't really have that difficult of a schedule. I think they only have 2 true road games. Georgia Tech is at Mercedes-Benz, right? So they don't really play that many tough road games at all in the entire season. So I do think we drop one to Georgia. I'm hoping we get a rematch with them again, kind of like last year, and we can beat them in the SEC championship game. But they're just so hard to beat at home. Hopefully, it's a scenario where maybe Bama's already beat them at home because that game would have already taken place. But they are just a juggernaut at home. They are nothing to be fooled with at all. To me, they are still a different level than Florida. They are still a different level than Oklahoma. And Ohio State, I think we're catching Ohio State at the right time because we're getting Julian Sayin at week 1, and he's got to play us. I think we have a nice advantage there, even though the Buckeyes are at home. So Georgia, I think we drop. Arkansas, we beat, but it's tough because that one can be a really, really tough game. And then we close out the year against A&M. This will be a bloodbath. This will probably have a lot on the line similar to last year. Who's going to make the SEC championship game? Who's going to get into this certain seed? Now, at this point, I only have us losing 1 game, and that's to Georgia. Right, so we're definitely getting to the playoff. We're probably in the SEC championship game at this point. And again, I'm going to have us beating A&M. So I have us in the regular season dropping 1 game to Georgia. My final prediction, we go to the SEC championship game. We play Georgia. We avenge our loss. And we're the 1 or 2 seed going into the playoff. I love this team. I think we're extremely deep. There could be some awkward moments. Or some bad moments just because of a young team. But ultimately, this team is really freaking talented on both sides of the ball. We debated about the defense. Is this better than last year's defense? It might be. It's really, really good. So I do have us falling to Georgia, but eventually we're SEC champs because we beat them in the championship game. So overall, I guess I have us 12-1 in the regular season.
Awesome. So thank you for that, Nick, and I appreciate you breaking down all the games. And fans, be sure if you're watching this, come in our comment section. Do you agree with Nick and my predictions about the schedule? But now, let me get to myself. So starting with Ohio State, I think we win that game because we've won big road games in the past. Alabama, Michigan. I'll
Yes.
say it again, Nick. We have not lost a true road game in the Sark era since October of 2022 at Oklahoma State. That's going to hold true. Yep,
That's
this year
crazy.
Ohio State has a talented team, some good players on defense, but they have a lot of question marks. They lost a lot. They had the most draft picks in the NFL draft. Julian Sayin is a talented but inexperienced quarterback. PK is going to dial up a lot of
Yep.
exotic blitzes, coverages, and the
Woo!
defense is going to eat in Columbus. And they're going to come back full to Austin, Texas with a W. San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston are all going to be W's. No, I believe we might even 50 burger one of these guys, but we'll see. We'll see.
Definitely.
Florida. Florida is going to be beat up by the time we play them because before we play them, Nick, they have to play at Miami, which is going to be an emotional game, and then they have to play at LSU. What is going to be their health situation? Are they going to have two losses? Is Billy Napier going to lose the locker room by the time that we we come
Yeah,
along?
that's what I'm
Even
saying.
though that the swamp crowd is going to be definitely rowdy up there because Texas Longhorns are coming to town, the almighty Texas Longhorns. But I just think that as talented as Florida is offensively, and they are, I think our defense is going to force DJ Lagway to make a couple of
Yep.
mistakes, and we're going to run the ball just enough and keep the Florida defense off balance, where we're going to walk out of Gainesville with the 31-27 victory. That is my prediction. And like we said last year, doesn't matter how many points we win by, as long as we win the game. No matter because the SEC is a different slate. Oklahoma, they have a very favorable schedule this year. Michigan comes to town. They play at home against Auburn. I don't think they're going to lose any of those games before Texas. So this might be a top 10 matchup or top 15 matchup going into Dallas. We have to win this game. Oklahoma's had our number. They won 11 out of the last 15 Red River rivalries. We won the last 2 years. We need to keep that momentum, not only for recruiting wise, but just the perception of Texas football. We cannot take a step back and let a team like Oklahoma that is less talented than us be able to walk us down and get the win. Even though John Mateer is a good quarterback, I think he's going to improve the Oklahoma team. But we just have more talent, and I think we should be able to out talent them. And I actually think we win that game by 2 touchdowns. We're going to win 40 or 3 touchdowns, excuse me. 45-24 is my prediction. It'll be close at halftime, but then we're just going to run away in the second half. Kentucky. Kentucky is bare this year. Mark Stoops is most likely going to be run out of town because they have a tough schedule. But, they played Georgia tough last year, and they have a tendency to sneak up on people, especially at home. This is going to be an ugly game, but I think we're going to win this game 24-20, walk out with a victory, and we're going to beat the Kentucky Wildcats. The Mississippi State game is a game that I think is the biggest trap game of the season. Mississippi State didn't win a single conference game last year. They're ranked the least talented team in the SEC. They lost their quarterback, Michael Van Buren, last year, who's now at LSU. But they have a decent offense and decent offensive players that can make it interesting. Their defense is terrible. They gave up so many big plays last year, and they'll still be horrible. And Arch Manning may have 400 yards in this game. Like he may have 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. This may be like a Heisman game for him. Like his stats are going to continue to build. We're going to beat Mississippi State easily. Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia is coming to town. He said that Vanderbilt is going to be a national championship contender. Nobody believes that except in Nashville. But I just think that Vanderbilt, they have some talented players. Eli Stowers, a former A&M quarterback commit, and then Alexander, the running back. Their offense is good enough, but Diego Pavia take the next step and be able to fling the ball further than he did last year. They feasted in the short game and with QB power, but I don't think Diego Pavia is going to be able to sustain that and be healthy. And more teams are going to have film on him and be able to figure out his tendencies. Texas wins in Vanderbilt. Georgia, we're on the road. Georgia has a 31 game home winning streak. They play some tough games at Tennessee, but even though that's not going to be a really difficult game, but Tennessee could be a tough place to play. They have to play at Auburn. So Nick, they may have a loss already, before Texas, and we know what happens when Kirby Smart
Yeah.
has a loss. Just ask what happened last year in Austin, a motivated Georgia team.
Right.
I unfortunately are going to have to agree with Nick. I think Georgia's going to get the win against us, but it's going to be a close game. It's going to go down to the fourth quarter. Gunnar
Yeah.
Stockton's going to have a drive to lead them down for a field goal, and I think Georgia's going to win 44-41. I think it's going to be a shootout actually, and because Georgia defense is not the same. They're playing a lot of young players. But I just think that their offense is going to be able to move the ball a little bit on our defense more than other teams, and I think Georgia ekes out the win in Athens. Arkansas. I'm not expecting a lot from Arkansas this year. Taylor Green's a talented running back. A quarterback. Another coach, Sam Pittman, that's most likely going to be run out of town because Arkansas has a tough schedule this year. Texas takes care of business at home, gets the Arkansas Razorbacks. The Aggies are now coming to Austin. So A&M, this can be a game to see who advances to the SEC championship game. A&M may have one loss at the most because they have a very favorable schedule. They play at Notre Dame, but that's a non-conference game. In my opinion, Nick, before Texas, A&M's toughest SEC game is at LSU. After that, they should be able to win all their games. Marcel Reed, let's see how much he's improved as a passer. That A&M defensive line is ferocious, one of the best we'll see all year, including Georgia. I just think that this is a game that we cannot lose after winning last year in College Station. We cannot let the Texas A&M Aggies come into Austin, Texas, and win. We need to take care of business. We need to win this game. I think the Horns get it done. I'm going to predict 11-1. But my prediction is I think we're going to play Alabama for the SEC championship game. And your Texas Longhorns are going to be the SEC champs. And we're going to get revenge on Georgia. We're going to beat them in the quarterfinals and the semifinals in the playoffs. So we're going to get our revenge on Georgia. So, Nick, what are your thoughts overall about our predictions?
Well, we agree. I mean, I'm pretty much the only thing we disagreed on is who we play in the SEC championship game. The ones that I really feel confident about, I'm not going to say Ohio State because that would be insane. But I feel good against Florida. I do feel like we got a good shot against Georgia. And what you said before is true. What Georgia are we getting? Are we getting where they lost to Auburn the week before or 2 weeks before? That's a different kind of Georgia. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be, damn, we got to get into the title game, kind of how they were last year. And that's a different kind of Georgia. Are they undefeated?
I don't think they are going to be undefeated. I think they're going to lose to either. They're not going to lose to Tennessee, but they're going to lose to either Auburn. I think that's the most likely loss that they're going to have, or Alabama, one of the Alabama teams.
Or Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech, that game would happen after us, but still, I think they could lose to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. I could say this, I think we'll win the SEC. We could lose to Georgia in the regular season, even though I feel very confident that we can still beat them. And when it becomes time, I'm going to be picking us to beat them. But it's just unrealistic to go undefeated nowadays, but I do think we're better equipped to win a national championship than Georgia is, especially
We
this
are.
season. I would also say Alabama is because you have them in the SEC championship game. So we'll see how this all shakes out. Either way, we have us as SEC champions. It starts in 11 days against the Buckeyes, and we are going to be so pumped for that
Definitely.
game.
And just to put a bow on this conversation, I have 4 SEC teams making the college football playoff, and that is going to be your Texas Longhorns, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. Those are the 4 SEC teams that I have making
I agree.
making the college football playoff, and I do think we're going to have an SEC champion this year. It has a good chance to be Texas. For the last 2 years, the Big Ten has won the championship with Michigan and Ohio State. Big Ten has been talking a little bit, Nick.
Not Penn
Exactly.
State. I tell you
They've been
that.
talking
And
a
Penn
little bit,
State.
thinking that they're almighty. They're better than the almighty SEC. Well, I don't think the Big Ten is going to want the smoke this year. So let's
Yeah,
see.
let's
But
see.
thank you so much, everybody, for watching this episode of Touchdown Texas. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels at touchdown_Texas. If you want to go back and watch our offensive previews, position by position, and defensive previews. Next week will officially be in game week, ladies and gentlemen. So me and Nick are going to break down the matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Will the Texas defense fare against them? The Texas offense. We're going to be breaking it down from every angle. And I wanted to say that the Texas X's Atlanta chapter is going to be hosting a watch party. So those of you that watch our show are in the Atlanta area, pull up. It's at Botica in Buckhead, August 30th. We will be doing the show right after the game is over. I will be live at the watch party at Botica. Nick, I think, is going to be out of town, but be sure to come by and say hi, and we'll be bringing some fans on our show after Texas and Ohio State. But again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hook 'em.